welcome to a special Thanksgiving edition of AdTech AdTalk, doing it old school style with just me and Adam once again because all of you still seem so confused. And we're here, we have answers, we have questions, we have amazing things going on with remedies, and I'm joined by the ever wonderful and slightly angry Adam Heimlich. How are you, my
Thank
friend?
you. Thank you, Gareth. I'm doing great. Moderately angry today. How are you?
Moderately. Oh, I'm good, man. I'm good. Oh, and we'll take this opportunity to shout out our wonderful sponsor, Pontiac DSP slash Pontiac Intelligence. It is the flexible, transparent, and low cost DSP that,
Yeah.
plays into one of my theses, which is I think actually there's going to be a proliferation of DSPs, and I think it's the best thing that could happen for like digital
Yeah.
advertising in general. Is the whole notion that there are two DSPs that run the entire industry is bad. Like,
It's not
like
how
that's
it's
a
supposed
bad
to
thing.
be. Yeah.
No, not at all. But yeah,
Yeah.
what do you think, Adam? Tell me why you're
It
moderately
can't
angry.
all be flexible, transparent, and low cost. I think that's a good combination. It's a sweet spot. But there's a lot of places. It's an example of three places to differentiate. And there's at least a dozen more. In markets, products are supposed to differentiate on cost, features, and quality. And I don't think we have that in the DSP or SSP landscape. And that's one of the things that makes this market punch below its weight.
No, I agree, man. I I'm gonna show for Index Exchange because they're the first company that I've seen integrating on the sell side that's not a header bidding management company. And to be fair, the header bidding management companies, those guys, they're duking it out. Like if you want to see people competing on fees and features, that's one of the like least pleasant spaces to operate in that exists. It's so competitive, it's
It's a knife fight.
crazy.
Who are the
Oh,
companies in there?
oh,
Let's get back to Index in a second. But tell
yeah,
us
I'll
who
go
the
back to Index in a
companies are.
second. So header bidding, for my buy side audience, let me tell you about these wonderful companies who probably run some of the hardest businesses to run that there are. I know because I ran one. Um, they are the big ones, and I apologize in advance to anyone I miss. Freestar, Attitude, Raptive, Mediavine, and then I think Penske does some of this now too. And those five companies across them are probably 30% of programmatic requests. They're huge and literally 50 to 100,000 websites across those five.
What does it mean to
And
manage the
Playwire,
header
I missed
bidding
one, sorry.
integration? Header bidding is a standard. So what does it mean to manage the header bidding integrations, and what are the features they're competing on?
Ah, such a good question. So,
Just
Prebid
curious.
is it's not just a standard, right? It's an open source project. So, and I think that there's a distinction there between Open RTB and the IAB, which create a standard, which is basically, hey, this is how this should be done, and Prebid, which is an open source set of code. So you can literally go download Prebid from Prebid servers and set it up on your website and execute it, and it'll run, and it'll do stuff for you. And so Prebid being this open source project, there are lots of publishers who do what I just said. They download Prebid, right? There's even a little assembler for you where you can check, hey, I want this bidder, I want this module, I want this module, and Prebid spits out a file for you that you then put on your website, and it executes and runs a Prebid auction and places your ads for you. It's super cool. So some publishers do that. They download Prebid themselves, they assemble it themselves, they pick the people they want to work with, they pick the different technologies they want to implement. But for most publishers who have like literally half a developer at their company, downloading it and configuring it and maintaining it themselves doesn't make sense. And I would argue for even large publishers, it doesn't make sense. And this is gonna, I'm not gonna go down the soapbox. If publishers build all this tech, it doesn't make any sense. They're publishers. They shouldn't be building all of this tech in house. They're all crazy. The ones who do this, some of them drive me up a wall. But these companies specialize and they say, hey, publisher, you don't need to do this. All you need to do is work with us. We'll actually manage all the relationships with all the vendors. So, like, we'll go out and we'll talk to ad exchanges, we'll talk to buyers, we'll manage all the modules, right? So, the identity resolution, all this stuff, we'll do it all for you and we'll package it up and we'll just give it to you and you, publisher, install it and we'll maintain it, do all those things. And that's what the header bidding management companies do. They are they're downloading Prebid, and they're maintaining it on behalf of publishers. And so, the reason it's a knife fight is anyone who's ever worked with publishers knows that you can build really cool features, like a really cool analytics. What's my bid density? Who's buying? What are they buying? Um, and like, oh, I work with these identity providers. How much lift do I get when I add this identity provider? Most publishers do not care. And these guys build these features till they're blue in the face. And I've been there because the publishers will ask for them. But at the end of the day, the publisher goes, hey, how much money am I making? These guys say they'll make me 5% more. So I'm going to test them. And when you're in that environment where your client base is constantly doing assessments of if I work with this other company, will they make me a little bit more money? They say that they will, and they're willing to like kind of put their money where their mouth is. There's tremendous downward pressure on price. And like it's also just as a high touch business, right? Implementing this code on publisher websites. When I say that sentence, it sounds easy, but the reality is it's very complicated. These publisher websites are full of gobbledygook from 10 years ago, and they're being implemented by some guy, halfway around the world who's getting paid $10 an hour. And like, it's it's a hard business. It's so hard. I have so much respect for them. They're so important though. They're the last mile, right? Like all the header bidding management companies for the mid and long tail of the internet, and even for some really big publishers, they are the last mile. They're the company that's interfacing with the content provider itself and making the technology work. Um, so yeah,
So how does
that's
those sit alongside? So say I have an attitude relationship. We had
yeah.
Justin from Attitude on the show, and I have an index relationship.
Mhm.
Me naively as a buy side guy, I thought that I had relationships with SSPs that send out my bid requests, and then I run header bidding to get the SSPs I don't work with.
Oh,
Is that right?
so in this scenario, Attitude generally manages index.
Hmm.
So Index actually has quite high minimums. So to work with Index as a publisher, you need to be of a certain size. Um, Attitude works with publishers much smaller than Index's minimum. And
Yep.
so Attitude becomes an aggregator of all of those publishers. So those publishers work with Attitude. Attitude has an Index account, and then they sell inventory to Index through their Index account. And there's some nuance here, right? Some attitudes for bigger publishers, they say, oh, you can bring your own index account, you can bring your own exchange accounts. But at the end of the day, you as a buyer should know that for a lot of these publishers, the only way to get them is attitude. So if you see attitude set up as a supply source in index exchange, and this goes into a reseller conversation, by the way, a lot
Yeah.
of companies like attitude are labeled as resellers, when in reality, the only way to get this publisher is to buy it from attitude. And that's not like really a reseller. Like that's like kind of
Yeah.
like the pub. Um, and
Why
so
would
when you
Trade
buy it
Desk?
through,
Why would
yeah,
Trade Desk call that a reseller? They need that inventory. Why would they? What Trade Desk tells me about resellers is it's inventory you could get through a better path. So why
yeah.
would they classify it as a reseller, a piece of inventory that I can't get through a better path?
Oh, this one's not Trade Desk's fault. This one is actually the IAB and OpenRTB's fault. When they first rolled out the spec, sellers.json, to define what is an intermediary and what is not, there were none of these companies in the room. So, like, for the first year or two of ads.txt existing, no one knew what to do for Attitude, where they were like, is this ads.txt line a direct line, right? Are they basically the publisher? Is this the same as Index Exchange paying the publisher? Or is it a reseller line? Because to the letter of the law, if Index is not paying the publisher, if they're paying someone else who's paying the publisher, that is a reseller to
Yeah,
to how the original spec was written, because direct meant that the publisher was getting the money directly.
yep.
And this was all about money flows, right? The original design of sellers.json and ads.txt was all about money flow. So I'm not going to blame Trade Desk for this one. I think the Trade Desk reseller thing is classifying exchanges as resellers, which to the letter of this law is kind of true,
No,
right?
but
Because yeah,
before that, Trade Desk would tell customers we don't work with resellers. If you
yeah,
ask us to add someone who we consider a reseller, we'll actually try not to because we'll actually point to where you could buy the same inventory. So that was Trade Desk's old definition of resellers, just saying this is someone who's adding a markup for no reason. So you're
yeah.
saying these characters didn't fit under that definition.
They didn't, but they lived in this world where they were labeled resellers because they weren't
Yeah, it's
publishers. It was
TXT.
really
Yeah.
unpleasant to be a header
Was it
bidding management
fixed?
company.
Was that fixed?
I think it's largely fixed. I think the Trade Desk has so much heft that they know these companies internally.
Yep.
And don't get me wrong, some of these companies are the objects of O'Sullivan's ire. So like not all of them are beloved by the trade desk, but some of them like, have really good relationships with the trade desk, run really like clean, simple businesses. And I think that the trade desk has fixed a lot of this because a lot of these companies are OpenPath customers. So if OpenPath can buy directly from them, then the trade desk is incentivized to say, oh, okay, this is as direct as it gets.
Yeah, trade
Um,
desk position, if they were in the room, would be like, we don't care what category they in. Like, we care if it's a legitimate bid request with accurate data, right, and a clean path.
you got
Like,
it.
yeah,
And I think that they've really played ball on this where like these companies reached out to them and were like, hey, this isn't fair how we're being categorized. Can you fix this? And I'm sure Wildo already got on the phone and was like, oh yeah, of course. This is totally reasonable. Like, we're gonna buy directly from you.
All right, so back to Index. You said their business is different in a way,
Yeah.
competitively. What did you mean?
So I think that the containerization project that's happening on top of Index is the first time in 10 years I've seen like real innovation on the sell side. And I think the trade desk's frustration of the past year is born of this because all the exchanges realized they could make more and more money by becoming better and better duplicators and throttlers. Like gaming throttling is still, I wrote an article about this.
Yeah.
Gaming throttling is my least favorite thing on earth. It's my least favorite business model. It's still a business model today, by the way. There are still companies that make money by knowing which requests to send to DSPs to get the DSP to spend more. Still a very common business model, especially in CTV, where there's this tremendous glut of bid requests. Um, and it sucks. It's just an ineffective way to run a business. And I think Index, for the first time, was like, hey, actually, what we're going to do is we're going to allow buyers to migrate infrastructure into us. And instead of building a one-stop shop DSP where we do everything in one UI, which going back to what we were saying earlier, like there was an agency period of time. I've said this on the show before because I heard this. It made its way all the way to me in the sell side. Fewer, bigger, better. Like
Yeah.
I heard that. I heard that it was a holding company refrain. We want fewer, bigger, better partners.
Yeah.
And that led to this thing where sophisticated buyers actually didn't have a lot of flexibility, and Index is seizing upon it right now. They're like, oh wait, there are people who have sophisticated needs on top of real-time bidding. We can facilitate for this for them really elegantly, where
Yeah.
we have a giant pipe of direct to publisher and direct to header bidding management company like bid requests. We have a huge pipeline of this. We can give that to you till you're blue in the face. Now you fine, we'll give it to you. Put your infrastructure inside of us. We'll give you the fucking raw bid stream. Go for it. It's awesome. It's a wonderful, wonderful market to have existing, by the way. I
Yeah.
think a lot of people would have been skeptical that the market would exist for this. And it turns out it does, and it's great.
So the containerization standard, by the way, there's two onboarded SSPs now. We're just launching OpenX with it right now. It was great working with that team. They're very excited about having it live on two SSPs instead of just one. But at the same time that happened, the first version of the standard came out for public commentary. We on the committee, with the IAB owning the decision, decided to call it the Agentic RTB standard or the real-time agentic standard. And a lot of engineers got mad. So I thought I'd just get your take on that. What do you think of calling it? And have you read me arguing with engineers on LinkedIn a lot, trying to
You've
defend
been
the decision to
arguing with
call
my
it agentic?
CTO. Um,
Yeah, including your CTO. Yeah.
uh, Here's the thing. We are rolling out a publisher LLM project that is an agentic product, in that it has an agent who will go and read things for you and do things for you. I think that there is a future where the containerized environment becomes agentic and it starts to look like AdCP. And I know this from
Yeah.
some inside
That's why we called
baseball.
it framework. We didn't say otherwise. It's called
Yeah,
framework.
it's just not there yet. Right now, what it's facilitating are traditional high volume transactions, and like bid request processing and co-locating infrastructure doesn't strike me as particularly agentic.
Yeah.
However, when
We
there are
agree.
five, yeah, when there are five different solutions in there, and there's a framework where they can all talk to each other, and you can go out and say, because right now this is manual, right? So when I'm selling Gamera data to a curator, there are only so many ways I can do it. Ooh, the flames. Um, it would be really nice if there were streamlined internal frameworks for companies integrated with someone like Index to really easily send things to each other And Index started to roll this out with the data marketplace, but that's limited by the concept of segment. And I think as they progress, which they are because they're very smart, um, like Index, there's no
Yeah.
flies on the Index product team.
Chalice in the
The,
container is very much a post-segment thing, right? We're going to take signals from other post-segment companies, and that's where the agentic part comes in.
Yeah. How do those now? And we're not quite there yet, right? Like we're not quite to this place where it's really easy for different companies inside of the container to programmatically interact with one another. There's still shoehorning that has to happen. I know because I'm yelling for it all the
Mm.
time.
Yeah.
Um,
But you said
but
the
it
key
would,
thing. You said the key thing that I think people should think of as the salient definition of agentic frameworks, right? Everyone jumps to the agent. But what allows for agentic behavior is companies providing services to each other. The reason my Claude agent could pull information from Slack is because Slack provides a service to Claude to
yeah,
understand that this request is coming from the end user, Adam, right? That's what creates agentic. So I want people to hear deep integration, purposeful integration when they hear this word agentic. People are used to RTB, which is like a different kind of framework. It's a federated framework. Everyone gets the same thing. And an agentic framework, the difference is purpose, right? We're trying to do something across companies, so we provide services to each other so that the end user could have a better service. That's the back end of an agentic workflow, is this kind of collaboration. And something that really opened it up for me was someone who was arguing with me said, is it agentic if, I buy something in China and it's drop shipped and I ship it to the US and bring it to the user? And I was like, well, if a robot did it, maybe it would. And in order for the robot to do that, then a lot of services would have to integrate. And
exactly.
actually, the hardware that allows them to integrate is actually called containerization, right? The use of shipping containers, like you put the goods in a shipping container and the shipping container ships and then that hooks directly to a truck, right? This was a really important advance in global goods. And it's not agentic itself, but you could see how by integrating the steps of the process, it does make it easier for a robot to do this or for it to be automated, for it to be faster. So I invite people to think of that metaphor when they think of containerization. It's creating a standard across multiple steps of the process so that the end user can get something better,
Yeah,
right? Get
and I
goods
think that
faster.
once that's automated, it becomes a lot easier for an agent to make selections. Because right
That's right.
now there's nothing for an agent to do. It's like in its own little world.
That's right.
It's trapped in there, and it wants to get out and go like get something else. But right now it's this weird myopic
Yeah.
thing.
I know
Um,
exactly what it's doing. It's running into the Google API and it's going, what the hell is this? Where's the documentation on this one?
I can't use this. This is an ancient soap API. We have a question in the queue.
Which is odd because we're not live.
Yeah. Okay, so this is a question from KHARAB2789. Thank you for being here. Do you think all the companies, the big ones, will come to the table willingly, or will we need to build outside of them and force them to the table?
Yeah. And KH, can I say who you are? Since we should explain why there's a chat when we're not even live. Say, or you want to be anonymous? Just say nothing if you want to be anonymous. All right. So without knowing who this person is, the big tech, this will happen without the biggest players. But I would say it's the second tier. And this is a story of open RTB standards throughout, right? Right. It's like that, Meta's like not really. Oh, yeah, sure. All right. This is Kara from Bayer, and Bayer is in the chat because we invited them as a Chalice client, and they're the one of the biggest and best in-house programmatic teams. So it's as a brand, they don't have the leverage of a holding company, but they have considerable leverage being a big global company. So the question is really about how much leverage will it take to drive adoption of this new standard? And I think, just I think this is true of Kara and of brands in general. There's a tendency to underrate the leverage. Like holding companies are important because they're an aggregation of advertisers, and there's actually a lot of ways to aggregate advertiser demand. And Bayer is itself an aggregation because you have hundreds of products in dozens of markets. So this is the way any seller of tech or supply thinks about things, like how much money are we talking about? How many campaigns are we talking about? How many, what happens if we lose this? That's the way they think about it. And if you're big, then you have a lot. So I think the adoption of brands like Bayer is a driving force. And something I'm interested in, Chalice, is how many in-house teams can we get involved in this kind of thing? Because they have a faster, more direct path to adopting things, especially things that save them money, right? If you save an agency money, it might or might not trickle back to the brand. But if you save an in-house team money, you save the brand money. So it hits harder that way, and it will hit harder on the sell and tech side as well. So I'd say momentum looks good. The committee that developed the containerization standard included people from Netflix and Amazon, Magnite, besides Index and Chalice. It's actually higher profile than the other agentic standards in terms of who's designing it, and I think has a better shot at broad adoption. Though, it makes sense that the biggest players are left out. Like, that's just a law of economics, that the true giants don't benefit from standard as much as everybody underneath. And you see this in ad formats, right? Meta has its own ad formats because it can. It'd be much harder for anyone else to have their own ad format. Like Snapchat had to go the other way and standardize their ad format. But thanks to Pontiac Intelligence, the low-cost, transparent, and flexible choice of DSPs. Thank you for sponsoring the first segment of AdTech AdTalk.
Yeah. And I want to pile onto that a bit, because I think there's a really good example of what you just discussed, in that DV360 doesn't do anything. They don't support anything
Yeah.
because they don't feel that they need to.
Yeah.
There are very few companies out there that will just say, "No, I'm not going to build that for you, Bayer." In fact, I'm pretty sure every other DSP would say, "Yes, I will build that for you, Bayer." But DV360 will be like, I know you have to use me to buy YouTube. That's the only way to get YouTube. And I'm not sure you can run a modern advertising operation and not buy YouTube. So you're in my UI, whether you like it or not. And
Yeah.
I think those are the people who will not adopt the maybe
Yeah.
semi-monopolists.
My co-founder has a
that's
story from her days at Google where representatives of the account teams for the entire auto industry went to Google and says the entire auto industry wants an auto format, ad format. Not one, not Honda, not Toyota, not them, but everyone in auto.
All of them.
And they were like, not big enough, not
Not big enough. Not enough.
Not big enough.
We don't have the resources, okay?
So Ali would tell that story when we were pitching investors, and they would say, "Won't Google, build customization for themselves?" And she's like, "Let me tell you how much Google wants to customize."
Yeah,
The entire
wild,
audio
man.
industry was too small.
It's crazy. It's just a different world, right? And just truly honey badger. Just don't care.
Yeah.
Does not give a shit.
All right, so another one.
All right. This is a question from Albert the dentist. Ooh, when I was a kid, I hated dentists, and I love my dentist now. My favorite.
Yeah, Albert the dentist. I think that's the guy's name. Okay.
DDS.
There's anti-dentites.
DDS means dentist, right? Well,
And
either
dente
way.
is Italian for teeth. Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah. Okay. What do advertisers need to do in order to capitalize on agent-to-agent communications, media planning, buying, etc., and have the future of it be in their interest rather than the platforms or agency?
Oh, such a good question.
Mm-hmm.
Such a good one.
I answer for Chalice, but where we have attacked this is inventory, is the question of inventory context and quality. We think this has been really noisy part of the marketplace with a lot of specialists, and we think the container is a chance to give advertisers a both-handed grasp on the issue. So Chalice has built what we call a Curate AI, which has a control panel where you could choose exactly the context and quality you're looking for. It's prompt based on context. You could ask questions like you do ChatGPT. You could set quality levers on things like the ad to content ratio, the refresh rate, the length of videos that show after the pre-roll. and get results on all these things, right? What are the differences in costs and what are the differences in effects when we set all these controls different ways? And it works because the container in Index and OpenX gives us URL level control. So what we output from your selections is a list of URLs and scores of each URL in terms of their quality or their relevance to the context you're looking for. And then we could select on those URLs and feed you back the prices so you can understand the relationship of quality and price or relevance and price. And we just think this wipes away a lot of noise in the marketplace, a lot of third-party money of people who say they're bringing you a quality environment or a monitored or safe environment. Like this is just a bunch of data signals. You can control it. We're pricing it low for people who are willing to run a lot of money on it. And yeah, we're trying to put this console in the hands of Bayer, among others.
Yeah, I would say that the big risk with agentic stuff is when it starts to do aggregations on your behalf across vendors. So intra-vendor, I think you're pretty well protected because you know how much you're paying a vendor at the end of the day. Like they should be providing you with transparency. But if we play this out a few steps, right, where this could go is this could be something that starts to pick vendors for you and say, hey, you should use this segment from this vendor, you should use this DSP, you should use this. That's the dream of all of the people.
Yeah,
And like,
it could
and
get
that's,
dicey.
it can just get dicey, right? Like the decisions being made in their automatic configurations, I think, are scary. So for me, I would actually shy away from any company who's telling me they're going to do that. That's my advice, and I'm sorry to the agentic
It's
companies
kind
out
of
there
too
who are
soon.
like building
But you
this.
know where
I
they're,
think it's too soon. I think it's too early
yeah.
for that. The one that I really like, the use case I really like, is actually Rob Webster's company. Um, Rob Webster's company, and I'm sure he has competitors, like he definitely does.
It's
But
called Tau, T-A-U. Rob
it's
Webster
called
from the
Tao,
UK has a
and
consultancy called Tau.
yep, and his business model is geared towards agencies, but I think it applies to brands as well, where what he's trying to do is automate the planning process where it's like, okay, how do I think about where I want to spend money? And based on the data sets I have, where should I be spending? And I think that's actually a really good use case for agenticness because it needs to go look at data from a bunch of different data sources and it needs to do an analysis of them and it needs to spit out a pretty actionable result. And I love companies investing in that space where like help marketers figure out what's working, what's not, where things should be going. Because I think that's a really manual process for a lot of marketers today, or a really ugly one where they pay some vendor a bunch of money to like pool all their data together. Like that seems like one
Yeah.
that's nicely solved by agents to me. Is like, what should I be spending money on?
Rob, I love Rob's confidence and the way he's bullishly entering this market. But I mean, Chalice has a problem in that our claims sound just like the claims of people who are completely bullshitting. Rob has that problem 10x. Like there's a
Yeah,
lot of people making planning tools that aren't the kind of data you're talking about that will make, random selections that might to an agency person who's not well versed might look just like the much more sophisticated work that Rob is doing with his tools and agents.
yeah.
But the
Crowded
thing you're
space.
saying about going to other companies is why we chose inventory and not audience, right? To do something audience based in the agentic workflow, you have to make decisions about who you trust on IDs, who you trust on cross device, who you trust on the behavioral data behind and demographic data behind those IDs. And that's kind of a murky world. Like we think that will be better done within an agency that already has investments in those things
Hmm.
and that has confidence in their cross-device vendors and their demographic data sets. That will make a lot more sense. If they're already selling those, they already have people who trust in them. To enter that with Bayer, it'll be a lot of consulting work, frankly, to be like, all right, this is what experience says, this is what they say they have, this is what Claritas says they have, this is how LiveRamp transit those IDs, and then here's someone else who's coming along who'll have another, right, here's how ID5 deals with those IDs in Europe, and there's a lot of tough decisions and trade-offs and tests will be involved, whereas the URL, the page, and what's on the page is a lot more straightforward.
I dig it.
All right.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
What
All
do we
right,
have now, though?
we have another question from our friend Albert Dente DDS. He wants to know your thoughts on IP address fidelity and the research released at CIMM by TruthSet. Should advertisers be Ooh. Should advertisers be using any audience data in CTV at all, knowing how inaccurate IPs are?
Oh, I got all kinds of stuff for this.
That's a good
Flip this out.
question. Isn't yeah. Does that question follow? I know how that question follows what we're saying, but I don't know if I could say it. But anyway, go ahead, Gareth.
I think you should just be free.
Yeah, Rob Webster and Tao have a relationship with TruthSet. That's how I heard about them, about what the work they're doing with IPs.
Yeah. So this extends beyond CTV, by the way. There is a large industry of identity resolution around IPs. It is a big thing. There are a bunch of companies that do it, that do probabilistic identity resolution around IPs. We think this IP address is this household, is this email address, is this X, Y, and Z.
And let's remind people your home IP address changes all the time, a couple times a day sometimes. And when you go out on your cell phone, you're hitting tons of towers with tons of different IP addresses. So linking an IP address for a person is a complicated matter.
Yeah. And I mean, we're actually doing some work here. We're doing some analysis here because like we have a lot of IP addresses and we're like, oh, what? Do these map to anything?
Yeah.
And I think that at the end of the day, what we're going to discover is that our reliance on IP address is in relatively limited use cases where you have a data set at its core that's deterministic and is not based on IP address.
Yeah, it's the perfect
And
70% of the time. It works every time.
and if you can't do that, right, if you don't have that
of the
analysis,
time, it works every time.
60.
But if you can't do that and you don't have that analysis and you're doing conversion attribution based on IP address or you're doing email identity resolution based on IP address and all you have is the probabilistic and you can't model how good that data actually is compared to like your real truth set, you're going to have a bad time. And I think the reason that report coming out is such a big deal is this is smoke, right? We're not quite to fire yet because I don't think people realize the extent to which IP addresses are used right now. But it's big, like it's big. Like there are linchpins of companies that are built around IP addresses, and
I'll tell you where I go on
we're gonna
this.
see what
This is like filming plays again. It's like we're trying to use tech that we use for display for TV, and it's wrong. It's not going to work. Most right there's an entity that knows who all these people are, and it's the CTV publishers who are selling these people subscriptions to their premium apps. So ultimately, they have the power to have advanced advertising to these audiences. And right, they don't have the tech. I'm trying to sell them tech, saying, listen, this data, you don't want to send the show. You don't want to send the hashed email. I get it, but you have to do something with it because advertisers demand performance. They're spending tens of millions, hundreds of millions of dollars with you. And, we have models of who they should be reaching and what kind of inventory they should be on. And you should embed this tech on your side so you can serve a buyer without sending out all this data because you're not sending out, because now we're trying to use tech that relies on data you're just not sending.
When they say no, we won't do hashed emails, what's their reason?
Are you kidding?
I'm actually curious. What is their logic here?
They're terrified.
Is it a privacy thing where they think they're gonna get in trouble? Or is it like direct sales? I don't know. I don't see them direct selling
God,
audiences.
what happened to newspapers after the internet came out?
Well, people started just buying audience. That's very, very true. But that's happening in CTV right now. They're buying the IP addresses instead of buying the actual hash emails. So, like, I don't know what they think they're protecting, but whatever they think they're protecting, the cat's out of the bag. People are buying what they think are valuable IP addresses in the cheapest possible place. And faking a hashed email should be a lot harder. It should be, like, illegal.
Well, they say if we let people know if we send out these IDs, people will find the IDs in the cheapest possible place. To your point, that's already happening. I think they'll say, we just don't want that to get any worse, or we don't want to be the direct cause of it. And like the answer is like, operate this tech on your side, or operate clean rooms. Comcast, Freewheel, NBC are coming along great with the clean room strategy. I think they'll be among the first to get to real solutions in this area.
Good.
Advertisers love to buy guarantees, and publishers love to sell them. And I think people underrate the amount, no one remembers, but 10, 20 years ago in digital, if you were a buyer agency side, we were like, we're going to change the TV marketplace. It's going to be made in our image, and all these martini lunches where they're making deals are going to go away. And that was all wrong. Like the TV marketplace changed us, right? We didn't change TV marketplace. It was much bigger, and we operate more like they operate now. So we should acknowledge that and say the TV marketplace isn't going to change that much. There's new players like Netflix and Amazon who are really important, but there's not going to be enough that it's going to be anything like display. They have and will have the power of the distribution of something like AI optimization tech for the foreseeable future.
Got another question. Keep on going.
Ah, that's a good one. Loving the bear questions.
Okay, another question from KHARAB. I think they already identified themselves, but I'm bad at names. Follow up on this. Can the ISP do this better than anyone with more accuracy? Does Comcast T-Mobile have a huge advantage here with their stack?
Yep, they got it.
Bliss.
They know it. They know what the actual household is, but they're afraid to deliver it. And this
Well,
isn't
there's
questionable.
history here.
What?
There's history here.
Yeah, Verizon and AT&T bought DSPs with the plan to use this data, and
then they did, and then they got
yeah.
in trouble. So the first one was AT&T in turn, and they had a real identity graph. We talk about identity graphs. AT&T knows who people are. Like there is an upstream identifier that users are unaware of that exists in like the infrastructure itself that they can use to know exactly who someone is. And the real value for this is actually not necessarily just the deterministic data, but the smart ones use this to build probabilistic models, where they're like, hey, we're going to use this like giant list of real identifiers identifying users and their behavior to build a probabilistic list. But yeah, AT&T did it with Turn, and the government was like, hey, you can't do that. And then they stopped and they scuttled the whole thing. And then Verizon did it with Run DSP, which got bought by Publicis. And using the precision ID.
I don't know the story the same way. I don't think they got in much regulatory trouble. I think their customers rejected it. I think customers were like, "That's not why I work with you. I don't like
Really?
this." Right?
I was told that it was a privacy slap on the wrist, where you're not allowed to use something that customers can't
Well,
turn on at all.
when did AT&T bought AppNexus in 2018? Like that was after all that.
Oh God, they scuttled their ID thing. No, I'm talking 2008 was the AT&T Turn thing.
That's what I'm saying. So why would AT&T buy AppNexus and announce they're going to use their AT&T and Warner Brothers data in AppNexus if they had learned 10 years prior that they can't legally do that?
Were they ever going to use the AT&T identifiers? I'm not so sure.
They brought
It
Warner
never
at the
came to
same
fruition,
time.
did it?
I
never heard anything come of that entire acquisition, by the way, which is like hilarious because it was a $1.6 billion acquisition. I never heard anything actually come of it. Like, oh, now you have this on AppNexus. Yeah, Verizon, the precision ID, the same thing. Like,
yeah.
So,
Well,
the
Ari
T-Mobile guys
Paparo
are
writes
smart,
about
they're
this
using it.
well. Ari Paparo has a few good essays on the telecoms attempt to get into digital advertising, and his conclusion is there's really a business conflict, a channel conflict, that the customers, or at least the people who took care of the customers, which is the primary business of these companies, were not okay with using the data for ad targeting, couldn't find a way to spin it and make it work, and the opportunity looked too small compared to those massive ISP and data delivery businesses. So, they gave up and spun them out. But they
Yeah,
have the data and they do sell it. It is accessible through, some entities do have access to some of these data sets.
at the end of the day, I think there's a discussion there, which is when advertising is not your core business, like to become an advertising company is a big commitment. Like, and you need to like really you need to steel yourself to become an advertising company because it's
Yeah.
Very rarely do non-advertising companies become advertising companies successfully.
Yeah.
It's not a thing.
That we should ask the Bayer in-house team. Do you guys deal with this conflict of being an advertising media focused company within a giant pharmaceutical and OTC healthcare company? Like is there friction? Advertising is its own weird business that has, an uneasy relationship with the parent business when it's existing within them. Might be
Ups and
getting a no
downs.
content from the Bayer chat.
Yeah, services. They're like, how could you ask us such a thing, Adam? Um,
No, I know they do. I'll answer for them. I know they do. It's tough in a lot of ways to be a media professional in a non-media org.
yeah,
Nice, no comment, dude, from Kara.
yeah. We should talk about floors for poor Paul Vincent. Before
Yes.
we forget, we're already 40 minutes into another episode, and I haven't gotten to the.
Let the bodies hit the floor. Let the bodies hit the floor. Let the bodies hit the floor. Let the bodies hit the floor.
I wasn't ready for that at all, but it's
I have
amazing.
to give that a Cash Patel.
Cash Patel look. So Paul asked me many moons ago at this point, but we'll tag Paul on LinkedIn for this. Why would publishers not have floors? Like, why would they ever not do that? He's like, I've never experienced a media space where someone would sell their goods without a listed price. And I would say the answer is complicated. I'm sorry, my camera is just going in and out today. The
It's
answer is
easier to
complicated.
understand in a normal auction. In a normal auction, to be like, if I don't get any bids on this thing, I'm not going to sell it. If all the bids suck, I'm going to take this thing back into the garage from my garage sale. But programmatic auctions aren't like that.
Right? They're ethereal. These are ethereal goods. It's also why every business that's tried to build a futures business on top of programmatic auctions has failed.
There is
Because
no
these aren't
future.
there is no future. So what I would say is floors from that perspective have tremendous downside, right? Where if you actually set a price floor and enforce it in programmatic, you are saying I'm willing to make $0 for this thing that I will never ever be able to sell again. And because of that, publishers have to be very, very discerning on why they run floors, where they're also doing battle with the fact that the good that they're selling is not scarce in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah.
Like you
This
can
is like
accuse
signaling that you're crazy.
it's
You
I
go to
mean,
the subway
well,
and signal that you're crazy. People will just stay away from you, which is good if you want that. But if you're selling something, it's the wrong signal.
yeah, and we'll start with the arguments against floors. And I think these are really them, right? If you have a floor in place and nobody bids above it, but people do bid below it, you've certainly lost money that you could have made. And
Yep.
two, is the switching cost is zero for buyers, right? If you go into a DSP, if I were to if I were to have Chalice optimize a campaign for me right now, Chalice is probably buying across hundreds or thousands of domains. If I put a floor in place that boxes Chalice out, no one at Chalice is going to go, oh, I wish I was serving to this domain. We should probably bid more. Let's get it on there. No, that doesn't happen. It's not a thing. So from that perspective, right, just from that theoretical perspective, floors do not work, and that's why they don't exist in programmatic auctions, is because they're these ethereal things where there is no real scarcity. Now, that being said, floors do work. They do make publishers more money. And so the question is why? And I have two explanations for this. This is why and how publishers floor in programmatic. Do you want to guess, Adam? I see
Algorithms?
you thinking. Algorithms? Uh-huh. So why would a floor make you more money in an algorithmic space?
Because sometimes they learn the floor and just bid it
Well, so
stupidly.
if they're modeling their win rate and they see that floors correlate to win rate, they will take the floor as a signal to inform when and how much they should bid.
Yeah.
Unsophisticated DSPs will do
You're really optimizing to the win rate, which is valid in
Correct.
some cases, especially pacing.
You got it. You're pacing, you're trying to deliver. So pubs figure this out real early. And they're like, oh, hey, some DSPs are optimizing this signal. The problem here is, as with all publisher declared signals, what is innocuous in one sense, which is a publisher defines a floor of 4 because they think that this is the value, becomes not innocuous when publishers go, oh wait, I'm just going to manipulate this number to make the buyer bid as much as possible, which is exactly what the algorithms did, right? So publishers implemented flooring algorithms to just feed these other algorithms what they figured out that they wanted to get them to bid more.
BattleBots.
What was that?
BattleBots.
BattleBots. This was a BattleBot scenario. However, we are very far away from the original intent of floors, which is to be some sort of, maintainer of some sort of value. And for this reason, a lot of sophisticated buyers have started to ignore floors, where they're like, I don't think this actually means anything, and I'll figure out my win rate based on what I bid. I don't need the floor as a signal in that. I just don't need it. But a lot of DSPs still do that, so there are a lot of floor providers, and a lot of people use Gamera data for their floors. So, hey, if you want to do it, you should do it.
What's the other reason floors work? Yeah.
The other one is actually the primary reason that publishers do it, which is Google. So Google, when they are taking AdSense demand and they're porting it into programmatic, has to do a conversion. They have to do a conversion from CPC to CPM. And in the act of doing that conversion, there's leeway. And you can actually convince Google that it should be paying more money for this impression by inserting a UPR into GAM. And this is a real thing where Google says they don't last look. Maybe they do, maybe they don't. But if you have a UPR in there, you can squeeze up their conversion for the CPM to CPC like math and make more money from AdSense.
I have learned in the trial you cannot floor Google, you cannot floor AdX independently since the
this floor now applies to everyone unless you do some really hacky stuff in GAM. Like it's possible, but it's really
all right. For
hacky.
Google has to deliver a lot of clicks. It collects 1,000 times more for a click than an impression, so it could pay up to 900x.
You got it. It's got a lot of fluid in there, man. If it like really thinks it's going to be a click, you can. And here's the thing: it's trying to underpay. Like it's really trying. Their algorithm is trying to minimize.
They have to deliver a lot of clicks.
And so you can. This is a way to make more money as a publisher. Is sending these UPRs into Google to get money. So those are the two use cases.
The second answer is also algorithms. It's just 1A.
It's true. It's 1A. It's just a different set of algorithms. A very specific one. But yeah, this is why publishers floor today, and it works. Publishers make more money when they have floors than when they don't. Who knows how long it lasts?
What percent of bid requests have pub floors?
Varies by pub. So assuming the pub has it implemented, all of them will. So for everyone that does, and I would, if I were guessing, you should check this in your bid stream. I would be fascinated to know.
How do we get pub floors? We don't.
You must get pub floors.
I don't think so.
You must. We need to talk to the agents in charge of the container.
Yeah, I don't think we get pub floors.
Because everyone is going to pass them into index. They'll all go in.
We get exchange floors. Why would
same thing?
No, they're different.
Same fields.
Right.
Those floors. When I'm a publisher, there's a field that I can populate in my request to index that is the floor. Index will then pass that floor along. Now, Index, of course, has their own flooring algorithms that they pitch some publishers on, but I highly doubt they send two different floors to the DSPs.
They don't. They send us one, and sometimes they say this pub might have another floor that's not in this request. Like we don't.
That's true as well. So now we're getting deep down the rabbit hole of why this is a little sketchy. Not uncommon for publishers to send different floors to different exchanges. Therefore, the final floor that executes upon the real auction itself might not be the stated floor to index.
Yep.
And that disjunction will exist. Yeah, floors are kind of pain. I mean, I've always been anti-floor. I just because I'm like a free market type of guy. But I work with enough big publishers. I know that these make material money for people.
Yeah.
So
if the buyer algorithm works, it won't help. If the buyer algorithm, to the extent the buyer algorithm doesn't work, you might be able to game it. So
and for our discussion earlier, a lot of these systems are like not going for nuance. Like DV360, of all the things, I don't think it's going for nuance. It's not.
We missed one comment I'm going to read from Albert. AdTech pod out there addressing the tough topics no one else will touch. Kudos to you. Free dental exams for the crew. Sasha, Marley, Maldo, free dental exams. All right, let's go to what's first? Post-mortem?
Let's Post-Mortem. Oh, Post-Mortem's so good this week.
Please join me in inviting President Barack Obama and Kehinde Wiley to unveil the portrait.
Kehinde Wiley.
Woo!
Woo! Thank you, David J. Sporton, Secretary of the Smithsonian. All right. Post-mortem, we're bringing you the best AdTech social media posts of the week. Not the best, but the most notable. And by most notable, we mean the ones we noted. Gareth, this first one's yours.
All right. TV is a passive screen. Changing this would ruin the user experience the same way AdTech did with Open Web. It's a way for AdTech to try and cram TV into a post-click attribution world which sucks anyway. Shoppable ads are just an example of our ecosystem's lack of user empathy, poor vision, and obsession on short-term gains. I have like 10 different ways I disagree with this.
I thought this was a banal opinion. You go off on what
I'm so glad you
what triggered you about this.
So first, TV user experience with ads sucks. Like, I'm a website ad guy. We have little ads that sit there along the side while you get to do whatever you want to do. TV ads interrupt whatever it is you're watching and say you can't continue doing what you're doing until you watch this ad. So let's just start there. TV ads work because they're so invasive and because the user experience is so profoundly bad. If you were to go to a website that made you sit there and watch something for 15 seconds before you were allowed to read the website, you would leave. Like, you just would.
Marijuana is legal. Why are you so... Sit back. Watch the commercials.
I had my sauna this morning. I exactly watched the commercials. Like, my childhood was spent watching the commercials. They were drilled into my mind, and it's like not good. So I just want to start there, where we're talking about ruining the user experience of television, like by like somehow making it worse. Like, okay, an ad with a QR code or an ad that you can engage with. This is not the straw that breaks the camel's back here. That's not what this is. Like, the experience is already bad. A little bit of extra zhuzh, like, I don't think it's moving the needle. So this is the first way that I disagree with this.
Okay.
The second way that I disagree with this is that the implication here is that TV ads that have measurable outcomes, right? QR codes, like whatever I'm not sure what shoppable TV ads are like. Are they asking someone to like scan a little thing? I can only imagine that's what it's like.
Yeah.
Because you can't click a screen, so it's got to be, hey, user, scan this thing.
Get
Are the
it now.
closest thing we have to real attribution in TV. Because per our conversation earlier, you know how every single company, including mine, does CTV attribution? IP address. That's how we all do it, because it's all that we have. And everyone who's buying performance CTV is doing it that way. So, like, I actually think that ads that have really like robust user action bottom of the funnel engagement in TV is like perfectly legitimate. I think that's different strokes for different folks. Like, it's what's it called? It's home shopping network, right? Really low funnel call to action type stuff. It has its place.
I don't know. I think this person just gets high when they watch TV and they're like, "Do you want to learn more?" And this person's like, "Maybe, but I'm not gonna like touch the remote or scan a QR code to learn more. I'm just gonna get back to my show."
I got another funny one. Well, maybe, but if might work for some people. Also, why is this guy coming out in his creative format? Also, I've never had someone try to sell me something before in advertising by saying that my users are passive. Like, like if I were to say, "Hey, come buy ads on my website," my users are really passive and not particularly engaged.
Well, they might say captive. Captive is good, right?
I mean, it is a captive screen, but that's now that they're captive, we can make them do whatever we want. I'm not worried about user experience. So yeah, I just think that this is the reason this gets me fired up is because it also is insulting my dear open web, as though it's somehow so much worse from a user experience perspective. than television shows are, and I just think that that's patently untrue. I think, like, indisputably, the user experience of even a high ad density website is superior to the user experience of TV, because you are not being forced to sit through ads to do it. The ads are there, you're absorbing them passively, but you can engage with the content without dealing with them, unless it's an interstitial or an exit pop, which everyone hates. Like,
Yeah.
I don't see anyone out there saying, "Oh yeah, exit pops are wonderful things. Those are great."
I don't think
Um,
this format's important, but I like what Rembrandt is talking about. Like, you could actually put it in the show. That's really cool. Like somebody in the show drinks a soda, like Pepsi will pay to make it a Pepsi, and Coke will pay to make it a
I
Coke.
love that. I
That's
love
better
that.
than like buying.
Triple
Yeah,
admitted that, like, pitched that a long time ago. Like, they were like, their
yeah.
native TV product was that. I don't know if it ever actually existed, but it was a great pitch.
I feel like they're going to
Like,
start making shows around it. It'd be like, honey, let me just finish getting this auto insurance quote from before, and then like to go on with the show.
I mean, we do it in movies, don't we? Isn't product placement in movies a thing? Isn't there like already like a kind of a precedent for this, like an
Yeah,
existing business model? And it's just a matter of automating product placement, which, in
yeah.
2025 sounds pretty straight,
Do you remember
much
the
more
montage in
doable.
Wayne's World 2?
Oh, I loved the Wayne's World 2 montage. Oh, it's amazing.
The
Wayne's World
product
did so
placement
many
montage?
things so wonderfully.
They actually got paid on that.
That's hilarious. Of course they would. Why wouldn't they? I never had that thought before.
Something you
I
can only do
never,
once, I guess.
yeah, I
There's
just
some
thought they were
really,
making fun of it. Yeah.
there's one on Silicon Valley where the Peter Thiel character eats Burger King for the first time. The first season, that was paid for.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I don't remember that one.
It's Burger King. Yeah, because it had nothing to do with the plot. He's just like sitting there examining a tray of Burger King food that he's never had before. And yeah, it's
Oh,
paid.
great show.
I'll
Yep. All right, rant
let you
over.
go. All right,
Great
yeah.
tweet though. Great tweet.
It got you fired up, and that's something. All right, this is my pet peeve from Twitter this week. There is a huge amount of glazing of Google's Gemini 3 model, uh, including this one. I mean, the one that got the most attention was Mark Beinoff, and who knows why he's doing it, but it's easy to imagine it's not because it's genuinely what he thinks. So this one is going, Gemini 3 is fucking insane. I asked it to build me a Walmart price tracker. I typed one sentence, it built the whole thing in 47 seconds, 10,000 SKUs, and if anything drops below 70% retail, automatically cross-references with Amazon prices, and I woke up to 17 arbitrage opportunities. As everyone said under this thread, this person's lying. It's not true. There's no way that happened. Like there's rate limiting. You can't go into those APIs and get prices like that at that volume. Like, can't you find something real to say about Gemini 3? And it's just a weird thing. Twitter's weird for a zillion reasons, including its racist AI. But this glazing of Google is what's going on this week. And yeah, it's who the F knows what's going on. But there's nothing dumber than being like, this new model's better. It's over. Forget everything. It's like the scoring on the test has been changing month to month for years now. So like one of them gets the top and you're credibly saying it's over. No one will catch it. It's just silly.
I mean, I don't know. I think this reads to me like Gemini tricked some people into thinking that it's like a person.
That it's literally a
Someone used
person.
Gemini to write this. Like, write a glowing review of yourself with a use case that like someone could do in the perfect world. Um,
I
'Cause
used
we
it and
know
got a
that
good
there's
result. Nano banana stuff looks super cool. I'm sure it's good, but like the commentary is way over the top.
I'm our next our next Twitter ones have me in the boat of just everything is fake on the internet. Like, no humans are real. Um,
This is good. This
that's
is
the one
from
after
a
this one.
friend, Mehul at Publicis. Faking a job interview, simulating a job interview. Do you know everything about DV360? Yes, I have 20 years of experience. Ask me anything. Okay, what is the use of these two fields in DV360? Candidate, I have decided to retire. It was nice speaking with you. And the field is integration code. And I am an expert. I have no idea what that integration code is. Gareth, did you know upon seeing it what the integration code is?
No, I can but guess.
But
Um,
here's the funny thing. Someone had the answer in the chat under this, but I asked Chalice's RobBot. This is a custom GPT. It has a custom Claude element too that we made out of all the answers given by our VP Solutions Architecture, Rob Mooney. The guy's a legend. He knows everything. So we took all the Q&A sessions that he's conducted and a bunch of other documentation that he's made and piled them into a custom GPT for anyone to ask questions. We're up to the fourth version. So Robot 4.0, I just asked in DV360, what is the integration code? And it gave me like 4 pages, including what does it matter from an architectural operations view? Because I always think, why do we care? And how to use it and what to ask, and an example in practice, which I'll just read. Let's say Brandex runs campaigns in DV360 and you have your internal campaign ID BX 2025. You could set that value into the integration code field on the insertion order line item. And when you pull reporting data, you'll have that code alongside your DV360 metrics. So you could join that data with your internal BI, which uses BX 2025 seamlessly. So it's like saying if you're going to measure, and it would be exciting if it was like event level, but it's like joining at the aggregated campaign level to other sources of conversions. You just use this integration code so you have an easy common key to match things up. It's Google is not the greatest integrator, so it's cool they even have this, making it a little easier for you to integrate other sources of conversion data. But my question is, does Google then use this for optimization? Probably not if it's not event level, but so it's actually something they did for users.
They don't use anything for optimization, man.
It must not be in high use. Nobody knows what this integration code is for.
I mean, this reminds me of a lot of systems, right? A lot of systems that have open APIs. People will say, hey, I just built 100 of these objects. They're actually all for this one thing in my system that's managing your system. I would like to label them all the same so that I can aggregate the outputs against them.
That's right. Google is so hostile to being built on top of that it's surprising they did this, and that might be why no one knows it exists. Because if you ask Google,
I've never heard of someone building on top of DV360. Never.
They don't like it.
Possible?
They're opposed. Like that's why they don't really even have APIs in. No, let's keep going over time. It's funny that the two of us can fill up an hour.
Ready for Grok and Trolls?
Yes, our special X feature Grok controls this week. Oh my God. We just have to cover this because we covered people asking Grok about Elon last week. This was the amazing week on Twitter where they, for about 20 minutes, were exposing the location of every Twitter account. They made a big fanfare about releasing it and then pulled it back really quickly. One of the very funny things it revealed is that a huge number of bots who do nothing but promote Elon Musk are based in overseas and mostly Nigeria, but a bunch of other countries as well. Pretty funny. And then this summary from a guy named Max Berger. Oh, he's on Blue Sky actually saying, if I understand this correctly, X is owned by a white nationalist who pays poor people of color in developing countries to pretend to be working class white Americans to scare other white Americans into being afraid of poor people of color from developing countries that they're going to ruin America. So long sentence, sad but true. This person nailed it. It's a bizarre thing that's happening in our world. And it's something we just have to get used to, I guess.
I mean, yeah, my takeaway from this is that we're so constantly exposed to like characters, right? In our social media feeds, we are constantly exposed to these characters who have this curated like persona. And like my favorite for this is Ian, yes, like us, but we're real. Like Ian Miles Chong or something is like this right-wing influencer, and it's just some dude in Indonesia who like got picked up and does all these posts. And so I think that everywhere we should assume that the actors are bad faith and that these characters are not who they say they are.
But our human minds can't do that. We're social animals. We want to communicate with people. We want to believe they're real. So this is a real problem, I think. If we see a proliferation of evil AI and bots pretending to be humans for political purposes, I think it'll get worse and worse for people. Like I don't think we're equipped to handle this.
To be fair, in the grand scheme of things, X opening this up, and if they were to like every platform should have an option for a human being to verify that they're a human being, who they are. Like, let me show you my ID and let me just list under my real name. and like don't mandate it,
Ha,
but like
those days are
let
long gone.
God, it's
The
awful.
chance for that is past.
It really is.
Some other country will do it.
We're just all slop. Our brains are becoming nothing but slop. This
Yeah.
is the direction we're going. This is brain slop.
No, we're working on a TV product called the show level optimization process. And we're like,
Yeah.
well, we should just call it AI slop. And everyone was like, oh, that's a problem too.
It's really there. Show level optimization. Oh God.
It's the slow. When we tried to name it slow or something, we ended up with something else. All right, let's go to the news. All good news this week.
Oh, very interesting
That
news.
tone, that's our news tone.
All right, we're starting off with the video clip. Do you want to introduce it, Adam?
Yeah, this is yet another Google story. There's stories circulating this week about how Google's tremendous success with Gemini 3, pulling ahead in the scores of AI bots, which is a big deal. I don't really want to denigrate it. Is credited to Google founder Sergey Brin in many circles. He was, not working at Google for many years. He came back about a year ago, has been leading AI, and a lot of people have posted this clip as an example of how Sergey's return caused Google to run ahead. So I'll show the clip of Google on this panel.
Like
And
recently, I
insert-
just had a big tiff inside the company because we had this list of what you're allowed to use to code and what you're not allowed to use to code. And Gemini was on the no list.
You have to be pure. You can't.
I don't know, for like a bunch of really weird reasons that it would like boggled my mind that,
You couldn't vibe code on the Gemini code.
I mean, nobody would like enforce this rule, but there was this, actual internal webpage for whatever reason, historical reason, somebody had put this, and I had a big fight with them. And I cleared it up after a shockingly
tell your
long
boss?
period of time.
You escalated to your boss.
I definitely told
I wanna
Sundar about
remind
it,
you-
and I couldn't play. And
Sergey, I don't know if you remember, but you got super voting founders.
You are the boss.
You can do what you want. It's your company still.
No, it was he was very supportive. It was more like I was like, I talked to him. I was like, I can't deal with these people. You need to deal with this. Like, I just like I'm beside myself that they're like saying
It's
we
weird
can't.
that there's bureaucracy like in a company that it must be a weird experience to meet the bureaucracy in a company that you didn't hire.
So yeah, that is. I agree with noted asshole Jason Calacanis that it is surprising that the founder of the company, who still controls it in many ways, would encounter resistance of people standing up to him on a purely bureaucratic point. Like there can't be any real reason that engineers can't use Gemini 3 as their code helper. So it's a I don't know if it means that he's the reason that that Gemini has done so well, but there's something to it that there's a founder mode and the founder comes back in the company and could bushwhack through a bunch of bureaucracy because he feels he's the boss and he didn't build this bureaucracy and it doesn't apply.
I mean, I only know third hand, but third hand I've heard Google is astoundingly bureaucratic. Like
Yeah,
deeply and disturbingly bureaucratic.
that's what it sounds like.
I mean, I ran into this when I was, it's called an MCM now, before that was called an SPM. It was someone who resells AdX, and we would have issues, right? Like crazy issues. And our account manager would be like, hey, I'm going to do everything I can, but these decisions are made in another building, and I'm not allowed to talk to those people or introduce you to those people. So, like, we might not be able to help you. And I just wanted to be like, that's so absurd.
Yeah.
And my account director, who managed a bunch of other people at Google, was like, it's just like, it's the rules.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, it's
And,
interesting in the context
that's
of
not
Google
helpful.
antitrust, right? If you read the antitrust case, like who made these decisions? And if you listen to Sergey there, it's like maybe kind of nobody made these decisions. Like
Maybe kind
these
of nobody. Yeah, it's a diffusion of responsibility thing, and bureaucracies are really good at that, where nobody's responsible, and so nobody can change it. Yeah,
Yeah.
man, I'm all for it. Cut through the red tape, please.
I'm
Google
gonna
being
bookmark
badass is
that
great.
mentality. Is some Google person was telling Sergey, no, you can't do that. Enough to frustrate him.
The guts on that person. That's also like just on a personal level. That takes cojones.
But they didn't think
Like,
that there was guts. Like they just thought that there was a giant, that there was real power behind them because there were the rules. It's weird.
I don't know. I can't
All
believe I
right,
thought they were gonna win.
the Omnicom IPG merger is approved and moving through. I guess the company is going to be called Omnicom. Not even sure about that, guys. What's the company going to be called of the merged Omnicom IPG? No, according to the headlines, it looks like it's going to be. Certainly, the image suggests it's going to be Omnicom.
Omnipublic, Intercom.
Let's pour one out for IPG, a name we'll never hear again after today. It's called
Don't forget
Omnicom.
their orange. It's an orange logo, right? Like the orange IPG.
I was working at one of the holding companies when Omnicom was going to merge with Publicis, and that got shot down, I think by regulators, or maybe they just couldn't agree. So I see this as a successful second attempt to merge, and it's now the biggest. I meant to look up how much money they're going to manage. That they're bigger than Publicis together. When Publicis is something like 50 billion under management.
Yeah,
So
they're
there are
big.
now two huge, monstrously huge holding companies, and then I guess two others. We're five, big five, now big four.
Is Omnicom British? Are they American?
American.
They're Merc.
I think
Okay.
these are the two American ones.
Yeah, these are the two American ones, right?
Yeah.
And then Avast and Publicis are the French. And
Now there's one American one, two French,
two French, one English,
one English, and one Japanese. If we're
and one Japanese.
I think Havas didn't make the big five. Maybe they now get promoted to the big five.
Well, Publicis is always talking about buying Avast.
About buying what?
Avast.
What's that?
Havas.
Havas. Havas. I think they knew each other in high school and didn't like each other, so it can't happen.
Oh, I mean,
It's like that in France. It's a very narrow path to the elite, so they all know each other.
it's owned by Vivendi Group, which was
It's
started by
probably the best.
Napoleon
It's probably for the best.
in the 1800s to
Let
supply
me not say
water to
anything else
Paris.
about Publicis leadership.
It's crazy.
Let's go on to the next story.
I love Publicis.
The remedies, closing arguments. Thank you for the great coverage to Check My Ads, Ariel Garcia, and for the great image of the Monopoly Man. Very appropriate. This was tremendous coverage of the closing arguments. The highlight I want to pick out is that Google lead attorney Karen Dunn referred to AdTech AdTalk guest Steph Laser as the Google Slayer.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Freaking
I
laser.
mean, I'm not sure I would have the guts to be the Google Slayer, to be fair. So like, go
It
get
was meant
Steph.
mockingly. She was mocking her too. It's as Google hasn't mocked Steph enough. If you read the whole transcript, they've been very, very hard on her. Now they mockingly call it, but of course, we'll turn into a point of pride.
It
She
is
is
a
the
point
Google
of
Slayer.
pride.
The point of the argument was all divestiture. You know, are they going to be? It's called behavioral or structural remedy. It means, do you break up Google? Do you break out pieces of the tech, or do you impose behavioral constraints on them that be guarded by a monitor? Most close watchers are leaning toward the judge deciding on behavioral, which would be a bit disappointing than structural. But you have to assume, or those watchers are guessing that the behavioral remedies will be pretty tough. That things like open sourcing the final auction logic of GAM, so that Google cannot pull any shenanigans in the final auction logic, even though they continue to own the ad server.
It's just not my fear. I've come full circle on this
Freaking
one.
laser.
I was originally like, listen, this can be done behaviorally with pre-bid with an asterisk. And I think I underplayed my asterisk. And the asterisk is, how do you know that AdSense is not prioritizing something? And that was always my asterisk for the behavioral remedy, but I was like, it can be done without divestiture. You just have to know that this is happening. You have to know it's not prioritizing something. And upon reflection, I don't think you can. I'm not sure there's a way to know that AdSense is not treating requests from GAM differently than it's treating requests from pre-bid. I'm just not sure there is a scalable way to make sure that Google isn't preferring one or the other.
Want to come
And
out in the prices?
So the thing is, it's really hard to A/B test this, and the DOJ put forward some very good arguments about this, which is, hey, listen, there might be certain websites that have quality issues. There might be certain placement. There might be certain data that's coming through GAM that's not coming through something else. There are a million different things that inform price because the structure of GAM and the structure of pre-bid are different. And the DOJ was like, they're going to be able to hide behind something. They will be able to hide behind something in there and legitimately say they're getting something from GAM that they're not getting from Prebid, or different publishers use GAM than use Prebid, and say that's why
Right,
it
we'll
looks
be
like
able to
more
explain
money's
it.
going
Yeah.
to GAM.
Yep.
And I think the DOJ is right. I've come around on this one. I think that you have to bust it out.
We'll
it's
see. You know,
I don't think they're gonna.
Microsoft,
I think they're gonna stick behavioral, but I think
US
that
versus
I'm with
Microsoft
them now.
ended with behavioral remedies that worked, and basically was like, we're going to audit the shit out of the Windows APIs. They're going to be governed by a committee, and if you use Windows to block applications you don't like, we're going to see it. You're going to get caught, and that was is it. It worked. Microsoft stopped using Windows to block web applications it didn't like or that viewed as a threat. So you know, it can
Someone
work.
really smart's gonna have to figure this out. Like this is a sit in the
There's
room
some
for a
smart
long
people on it.
time. How do you make sure AdSense is not preferring GAM?
The Check My Ads coverage concludes, and I would agree with the conclusion that we already won in so many ways. Like Google is really defanged, and their conducts have changed so much since this case began that it's already more competitive, and this will be the icing on the cake, and hopefully it's a sweet structural remedy icing.
I have some inside baseball, and we're gonna get about 2 months. About
Yeah.
2 months. There are some smart people at Google.
What is it? What do you mean?
I'm gonna stay vague because of contracts and NDAs, but
You know what
don't
Google
sleep
is
on
planning for after the
Google.
remedy?
Don't sleep on Google. Yeah, don't sleep on them.
What the?
Saying don't sleep
What
on them.
the? All right, well, I assume they'll just put Gemini in charge of everything.
How do we know it's not already?
Now that Sergey's back, you know, a lot of the reason why Microsoft stopped using Windows to crush competitors was the CEO change. Like it was like Ballmer's obsession. He got CEO, whatever his name is, all fired up about it. And once Shoutout took over, it was like, no, we're an enterprise cloud company. Like we don't need to bother with this. And I feel like Sergey coming back, it might be really similar. It'd be like, no, we're an AI and cloud company, and we do some advertising, but you know, we're not going to be focused on disrupting advertising markets anymore.
Well, it's a consulting mindset, right? Where someone is hyper aware of the market and like what the market is doing and what they should be doing based on the market, and someone who is looking inward, right? And I feel like Sergey looks inward because that's all he's ever done. He just needs to look inward. Like he's aware of the market, but like it's about where your deep motivation comes from. I've built this thing that is spectacular, and then it happens to fit in the market, not this is the puzzle piece of the market, therefore we do
That's
this.
right. That's right. And with that lens, you look at the conducts, which you probably didn't know about, of the case, and be like, "What are these guys doing? Like,
What are they
what
doing?
the products here? Like,
This
what
is not
value
my
is this?"
company. This
Yeah,
is not my
like,
company. This is
what?
my company. We just do the most spectacular thing that we can. However we can. There are no rules.
Yeah, like why are we forcing people to use our ad server? Like, well, that doesn't make any sense. We should just build the best ad server,
Build the best ad server.
or get out, right? Or use AI.
Look out for Google, Adam. Look out for them. They're
Well,
not
I mean,
dead.
they're a big, powerful company. Like, what do you mean, look out?
They seem weak right now. And we're getting a false sense of security.
Do you mean they're coming for our market, for the advertising market again?
Mm-hmm.
Do you mean watch out for them in our market of
Yeah.
advertising, technology, and
I
services?
sure do. I sure do.
God. And with that, we'll sign off for the week. Oh no, we
Thank you,
have
everyone.
we have creative reviews.
I hope you had a wonderful Thanksgiving.
All right, next week.
You want to do them? Well,
Nah,
we'll do it next week. Thank you, guys. Have a great one. Thank you, chat. Thank you, Bear, for coming.
Yo, the crowd is